Number 8. America's dream is over.
So this is why I choose Poland over the American dream. You know, I've actually recorded this 4 times. One was on a kind of like this, just me speaking freely, but I got really angry. Several of them actually had scripts, but it didn't capture my emotion. It didn't capture how I truly feel. And so this is what this video is going to be, is me why I choose Poland over the American dream, and I guess speak honestly to you and not as emotional or as a rant.
In the description, I have many examples why I do not believe in the American dream anymore, unless something drastically changes.
I used to believe in the American dream. I used to believe we could own a home and have a job that's secure and have 2.5 kids and a dog and a white picket fence. I think for many of us growing up in the 80s and 90s, this was something that was tangible. This is something that we saw our parents do and accomplish. And now it definitely doesn't feel that way anymore. Now, I'm not saying every single person can't find that quote-unquote American dream. I'm not saying if you're someone who has migrated or a foreigner and you live in America that you can't find achievement and you can't capture that American dream. I think the American dream now is very subjective, and whatever that dream is, I hope all of you in America, I hope each and every one of you are able to have that American dream. But if I'm going to be honest, I personally don't see it. Call me a nihilist, call me black-pilled, but I just feel that the American dream is very difficult for many of us to reach and capture. I think the goalpost of the American dream is long gone for many of us, because I think through corruption, especially capitalism in our country, because it is corrupt top to bottom. I'm not saying socialism or communism is going to be any better, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think we've given a lot of these people in power all the power. And I think a lot of us Americans forgot we the people. We have lost, in my opinion, the power in our country, where now you have corporations, technocratics, lobbyists, other foreign countries who are now lobbying to American politicians, to our Congress, to our senators, and even our commander-in-chief. Now, I'm sure many of you know how I feel about President Donald Trump, but to me, he's just one out of many presidents who have sold America out for their own self-interest, for the lobbyists, for tech companies, and for foreign countries. This isn't a secret anymore. The New World Order, as they like to say, is alive and well. And just even seeing the JE files, I would hope this would have woken up many Americans. And some have, and some just are incredulous. And in fact, I've heard Americans say, why should we even care? How is this pertaining to my life? And maybe that's a fair question. But for me at least, it shows that there are elite people. The JE or the J Epstein people who are in control. And it appears that they're probably going to get away with this. Hopefully not, but it appears that way, unfortunately. And in my description, I'm going to list many reasons why I believe America's dream is dead. And I do ask you to do your own independent research. And instead of being incredulous, and instead of me saying that I'm overreacting or I'm lying, I ask that you look into this yourself, because I'm not the only American who lives overseas is saying this. Many Americans on YouTube are saying, we've been lied to, and we're just been enslaved by consumerism. So I do feel kind of good that it's not just me who sees this, because it isn't me being self-centered. This isn't me saying I'm better than you. It's me hoping and wishing that we as Americans can come together and unify, just like after 9/11, and come together and say enough's enough, because we're voting, we're trying to vote, and then we're finding out that these politicians have been paid out, sold out. They sold their soul to money, to power, to whatever their goals are. They're selling us Americans out for their own personal gain. And just being out of America, that illusion, that that marketing, saying we are the greatest country in the world, that you can achieve anything in America. You see, our education system in America is atrocious. No kid left behind. 21% of American adults are illiterate, and about 50% of adults read below a 6th grade level, which is crazy to me. And we are supposed to understand contracts and supposed to understand what our politicians are passing as laws, our taxes, what doctors are saying for our healthcare. If we can't understand this, then how are we able to overcome a lot of these things that are being combated and, in essence, being attacked from the powers that be? Yeah, maybe that's a bit conspiratorial, and yeah, I have my tinfoil hat somewhere. But it's not only that. You have the NDAA Act, you have the Patriot Act, you have the NSA who are spying on on Americans. You have a lot of tyranny that's happening from the whole Orwellian aspect of 1984, or another famous writing from George Orwell, Animal Farm. We also see things like with technology, with the whole Brave New World. And I'm seeing this happening when we're seeing people's lives possibly being destroyed because they want to create these huge data centers. I mean, huge. And I feel that not just Americans, but everyone around the world should be angry with this, especially with the Strait of Hormuz. And obviously here in the EU, we have the whole migrant pact that's supposed to be happening on June 12th of this year. And a lot of that was created due to the decades of wars that were happening from the US, going into Iraq, going into Afghanistan, going into Libya, causing instability throughout the Middle East. Not to mention what's happening right now with Iran, Lebanon, with the Palestinians and Israel. These things have massive effects and it ripples globally and affects all of us. So yeah, the American dream. I can discuss how it costs the average person $400,000 USD for a medium household, and the average first-time home buyer is 40 years old. I could talk about that. I could talk about how people who spend 30 years paying off their home, and then the county or city redistricts, they have to pay taxes, and people who are retired, they can't pay those property taxes because they're on a fixed income, and
The house undergoes a tax foreclosure.
And then a lot of these people have to move into vehicles. I could talk about that as well too, how Americans are moving into vehicles, and not just people my age or younger, but even elderly. This is happening in America, where Americans don't even have, I think 40%, they don't even have at least $500 in their bank account in case of emergency. Not to mention to have money for healthcare. And I'm sure many of you know this. I'm sure many of you can see this. But maybe here's a fact that some of you don't know, and it's quite insidious. 1 out of 4 girls have been essayed. 1 out of 20 boys have been essayed before the age of 18. And these numbers are very conservative because many are not being reported. And if that's the case, then a lot of us are dealing with trauma. A lot of us are broken, respectively. And unfortunately, we're not willing to discuss this as a country. As I mentioned, the whole JE files, I would assume this would bring the dialogue and for people to talk about this. But like many other countries, we have our own dirty little secrets. And I don't think that's healthy. And then we have the whole political aspect, where everything has become politics, where we know in America, wherever you stand on, that's what we see you as. So if you wore a mask, we knew what political view that you stand with. Or if you didn't wear a mask, same thing. And I don't know why we have to be bifurcated in these two political teams. I would hope we could be pragmatic. And honestly, a lot of us are. A lot of us are. But the ones that are getting the attention, unfortunately, that's what I see, that's what the world sees. And many of us that are pragmatic and a lot of us that are just balanced, right? We're not really associated with any political team.
I'm not saying every liberal or conservative lacks pragmatism. I'm talking about the people who blindly follow a party or leader without asking if that party or leader is actually damaging the country. When political loyalty becomes more important than truth, accountability, and the well-being of ordinary people, that is not patriotism, that is blind tribalism. And I want to be clear. I say this because I love America. I do not want to be disenfranchised and alienated by my country. I want to believe in it again. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being we the people and became separate tribes, red, blue, left, right, liberal, conservatives. We were sold fear. We were taught not to trust each other. Some people were even pushed to hate their own countrymen and countrywomen. But we are more than our politics. America is supposed to be the Constitution, freedom, courage, and the belief that ordinary people matter. Land of the free, home of the brave. Somehow that got lost. Because when the people in power divide us, they can control us. And while we fight each other, they get away with everything. So no, I do not hate America. I love America enough to tell the truth. I love America enough to say we need to stop being tribes and become we the people again.
We may agree with some of the things from the Democratic Party, and we may agree on some of the things with the Republican Party. And I think that's a healthy society, not all gung-ho on one side. It shouldn't be us against them, because it's been designed that way. We have been designed to be part of a certain camp. And this division, it's working. What they're doing is working. And I don't know if my little channel can do anything, but at the very least I can lament about it and in hopes ask America, can we be better? Are we better? Or are we gonna allow our America dream to completely fold and collapse? Where like a lot of young people are becoming nihilistic, saying to teachers, saying on TikTok or on Instagram or YouTube, saying, what future? Why do I need to learn this? Because I don't see a future. When we're seeing AI potentially take over not just blue collar jobs, but also white collar jobs, we're all gonna be in the same boat. And when that time happens, it's gonna be too late. And I think we may be possibly passing that threshold. I don't know. But it would be advantageous for all of us to be more informed. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than you. I'm not saying that I know everything. Don't take all your information from me. Like I said, look into all this information for yourself, because I personally believe it's important. So, no, I don't believe in the America dream anymore. At least not now. Unless we do some radical change, I think the whole system, I think the whole America is going to get worse. And I think many people are going to see it, and it's going to be, like I mentioned, too late. And I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. And the reason I choose Poland, one, my wife who's Polish, she changed my life. She changed how I saw myself, how I see relationships and marriage. And I value that. You see, Poland is now my home, and I love this country. I love the history. I love what Poland stands for. And I will say this, I don't think Poland is perfect, but I think my life with my wife, it's amazing. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. For those who want to live in America, or who still sees America as this city on a shining hill, I want you to try America out. Not just to visit, but to live and to really absorb the whole experience. And maybe some of you will come back and say, you know what, Joon, you're completely wrong. You're crazy. You're being hyperbolic. And maybe some of you are going to come back and say, wow, you're right. Let me know in the comments if you lived in America. Have you lived in America, and what has that experience been like for you? Is it what I'm explaining, or is it better, or is it possibly worse? I'm curious. I want to know. Whatever that American dream is, it's inside of me. And that's something that those values, those things that I cherish about America, at least I can instill that and bring a part of that to my family here in Poland. And so I will say this. I love America. I love what we should stand for, our Constitution, our freedoms. I loved how we were able to come together as one country after 9/11. It was really a beautiful thing. And for the young people who have never experienced that in America, I don't think there are words to describe it, but it was a movement. You felt it in your heart and in your soul. You felt to be American. So if you do like this type of content and I bring value, I do ask if you can please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that hype button, because as I always say, I'm really trying to build a community and grow with all of you. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you stayed till the end, you are true legends. And so with that said, and without further ado, let's get into it.